Hi guys, my name is Anuj Jindal. Welcome to this session on demand. Now, this session is going to be very helpful if you are planning or on writing or actually writing the upcoming SEBI examination, the upcoming UGC NET examination, and even if you're planning on writing or preparing for RBI. This session will be helpful from understanding point of view. There might not be a lot of questions from this session or this topic in your RBI examination, but it's a very basic session. We're going to understand very basic yet things that we often forget and questions that we often commit mistakes in today's session. Therefore, do stay live and spend the next 30-35 minutes in the session. It's certainly going to be very useful for your understanding. Okay. If you've not subscribed to the channel, I would request you to subscribe to the channel immediately so that you do not miss out on any updates in the future that I come out with. And also, do not forget to press the bell icon so that you get notifications regularly as soon as I start with the session. To give you an update on the scholarship test of SEBI, which is out now, the test is supposed to be held tomorrow, that is 28th of April 2020. It will be live from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So you can take the test anytime you want. There will be a total of 50 questions to be done in 30 minutes. So the pattern is going to be just like the pattern that will be followed by SEBI uh, in the final examination. So the final examination will have 60 minutes, 100 questions. We are having half of that to make it easier for you to attempt the paper. 30 minutes, 50 questions. The questions are going to be a mix of quant, reasoning. Then we will have Companies Act. We will have questions from management. We will have questions from finance. We'll have some questions from costing as well as economics. So it's going to be a very good mix of questions from all types. But one thing is for sure that the all the questions are going to be very basic in nature, and therefore, if you have read these things in the past, or if you have been preparing for the past 1.5 month, even if it is on your own, it'll be very easy for you to write the examination, clear the examination, and get the cutoff, get the scholarship. Okay. So do not forget to write the test, even if you're not willing to take the scholarship or to even get my help in preparing for the examination. Write the test, because the test is certainly going to help you understand how the final examination might be. So it'll give you a good understanding of what kind of examination is SEBI going to plan. Negative marking, obviously 1/4 of the entire mark being allotted to per question. One question will be of 1 mark. Negative marking will be 0.25. Okay. So let us start with the session on demand, and after the session, I will be taking doubts. Okay. Uh, so let us first understand what exactly is demand. So the first thing that we're going to understand is what is demand, and then we're going to move forward. So the quantity of a commodity that a consumer is willing to buy and is able to afford given prices of goods and consumer taste and preference is called demand of commodity. Now this is the definition. Let's break it down and try and understand from a layman's point of view. So a demand curve gives you relationship between price and quantity demanded. So it's not only quantity, it's quantity demanded. Okay. So the price of, let's say, good A and the quantity demanded of good A, the relationship between these two things is the demand curve. Okay. Now the demand curve always starts with price and ends up with quantity demanded. It does not start in the opposite direction. You cannot say that it starts with quantity demanded and ends with price. What this means is that if quantity demanded changes, that does not mean that the price will also change. Okay. But if the price changes, let's say the price is y1, the price changes from y1 to y2. So the price changes from y1 to y2. Quantity demanded changes from x1 to x2. We cannot say the same for a good wherein the quantity demanded changes from x2 to x1. That does not mean that the price will also change from y2 to y1. Okay. So it does not go in the opposite direction. It flows from price to quantity demanded. And that's what the definition says. The quantity of a commodity that a consumer is willing to buy and is able to afford given price of the goods and consumer taste. So given part is price of the good and consumer taste. that was represented by price. So given the price that we have, either Y1 or Y2, the amount of money, the amount of good that the consumer is willing and able to buy is called as quantity demanded, and this relationship gives us the demand curve. Okay, I hope that's clear. Now, what is a demand function? The consumer's demand for a good as a function of its price can be written in this. Now, the relationship between price and quantity can be either graphically represented, or it can also be represented in the form of a graphic in the form of a demand function, which basically says that the demand for a good, which is represented by FP, is a function of price of the good, which in this case is X. So as X changes, the function also changes, which makes a change in the quantity demanded. Okay. The law of demand says that when the price of a commodity increases, the demand for it falls, and when price of the commodity decreases, the demand for it rises, other things remaining the same. So in economics, you have to keep this in mind. Majority of the theories have certain assumptions, have certain limitations, and the same limitation lies here. This demand function is applicable only when the price of a commodity is changing, and as a result the quantity demanded is changing. Other factors have to remain constant. I hope that's clear. Okay, so let us start with deriving a demand curve. Now you have understood what is a demand from a layman's point of view. You have understood what's a demand function. It's just a relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now, how do you actually derive a demand curve? A lot of effort has must have been put into deriving this demand curve. Okay, ऐसे डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप तो नहीं निकला कि प्राइस चेंज हो गया तो डिमांड चेंज हो गया. डिटर्मिनेशन कहाँ से आया? How did the theorists determine the demand curve? That is important. So let's take an example wherein you have bananas, you're consuming bananas and mangoes. So on the left hand side, you have a relationship between mangoes and bananas. Okay, now this is not price and quantity demanded, this is just a relationship between mangoes and bananas. Okay, you're consuming a certain amount of bananas and certain amount of mangoes, which gives the budget curve. यहाँ पर AB is the budget curve, which means देखो, let's assume that your, let's say, income is 100. Okay, so using that income, you can buy, let's say, either 10 units of only mangoes. Okay, you want to spend all this 100 rupees on either mangoes or bananas. You can buy, let's say, 10 units of mangoes. So one unit of mango costs 10 rupees. Or you can buy 10 units of banana. So one unit of banana also to cost 10 rupees. तो आपका ये budget line हो गया. That means this is your budget line, which means you can lie anywhere. Let's say uh, uh, 9 units of mangoes, which would mean 1 unit of banana, right? 9 unit of mangoes, 90 rupees, 1 unit of banana, 10 rupees, so 100 rupees ho gaye. So that's how you're going to consume mangoes and bananas and a combination of these. So ये हमारी budget line हो गई यहाँ पे. This is our budget line. Now let's say the price of bananas decreases and falls to 5. So now you can buy 20 units of bananas or 10 units of mango. So the budget line is shifted, right? The budget line was this. The budget line has moved farther, has become more flat now. So an individual is consuming mangoes and bananas, combination of both of them, and the income is M, and market prices of x1 x2 are p1 dash p2 dash. मार्केट प्राइस हमें दिया हुआ है, क्वांटिटी दिया हुआ है, हमारी इनकम दी हुई है. That's it. Equilibrium is point C at the point of contact between AB budget line and IC1. Now we have tangency of AB budget line on IC1. Curve. Indifference curve क्या होता है? How much quantities of banana was he demanding, and at price 3, how much quantities of bananas was he demanding. Using these 3 points, we create the demand curve. At P1 price of bananas, the person can buy and consume x1 unit of bananas, because ये x1 unit कहाँ से आया? ये x1 unit हमारा tangency से आया. The tangency between IC curve and the budget line gives us how many units of bananas will he be consuming. Okay, ऐसे ही point 2 पे at P2 we understand कि when the price of bananas goes down, then how many units of bananas is he going to consume in order to be at equilibrium, which is point x2. So x1, x2, x3 आया, which is replaced here, x1, x2, x3, and then we already know that the prices have gone down to P1, P2, P3, and using these two combinations we arrive at the demand curve. Okay, and then we find that the demand curve is negatively sloped, which tells us that as the price decreases, the cause is reduction in prices. The impact is a rise in the quantity demanded of bananas. Okay, this is derivation of a demand curve. I hope it's clear. Some people are saying that it's buffering. Let me see, try and refresh the entire video. I believe it's fine now. I hope you did not lose anything. So can you just tell me what was the last thing that you heard so that I can start off again? Or if you heard the entire thing. So I've just explained how the combination of indifference curve along with the budget line gives us the demand curve. Okay, I was at indifference curve. So let's come back a little bit, try and understand it again. So what we've done is we have determined that, okay, our income is 10. We can buy either 10 units of bananas and 10 units of mangoes. And if the price of bananas goes down further, we can keep increasing. So not here, 1 second. So this is our first step where we are consuming 10 units of bananas, mangoes, and 10 bananas. Then the price of bananas goes down. So we can buy 20 units of bananas and then 30 units of bananas. But how much bananas are we going to consume? We are not going to consume all the 20 units of bananas. We're going to consume a little less. Okay. That will be determined by the point of tangency between indifference curve and the budget line. Okay. तो indifference curve और budget line जहाँ पे meet करेंगे, I hope you've understood what is an indifference curve and how is it derived. वो मैंने explain कर दिया था. If that's clear, you give me a thumbs up. So where these indifference curve and the budget line will meet will give us the equilibrium level where the person can be and where the person wants to be. Okay. So now we have got 3 points C, D, and E, which tell us that the person is going to consume x1 units of bananas, x2 units of bananas, and x3 units of bananas. Okay. तो हमने वो तीनों पॉइंट्स यहाँ पे प्लॉट कर दिए x1, x2, x3. And we know that the price of bananas has gone down. पहले 10 रुपए का था, फिर 5 रुपए का हो गया, फिर और कम हो गया. Let's say this is 40, तो अब 2.5 रुपए का रह गया. Okay. Now what we do is we plot those prices also, 10 rupees, 5 rupees, 2.5 rupees, and combining these two we create a graph which is called as the demand curve, which is always negatively sloped, given that only the prices of bananas are changing, and because of that change in prices of bananas, the consumption of bananas is going up, or the demand of bananas, the quantity demanded of bananas is going up. So this is how you determine the demand curve. I hope it's clear. Derivation samajh aa gaya. It's very easy. Questions are certainly not going to come about derivation, but I thought it was important to explain the concept behind how demand curve came into being. Okay. So now, till now, we have understood what is a demand curve. We have understood the determination or derivation of demand curve. And now let's come to income and substitution effect. Now these are two effects which are very prominent in demand curve. The negative slope of demand curve can also be explained in terms of two effects, that are substitution effect and income effect. Let's understand them one by one. Substitution effect क्या होता है? When bananas become cheaper, the consumer maximizes his utility by substituting bananas for mangoes. That means an increase in demand for bananas. So what is substitution effect? Substitution effect कहता है, substitution effect says that you will start substituting bananas for mangoes, which means that as price of bananas becomes cheaper, जैसे जैसे बनाना सस्ता होगा तो आप ज्यादा बनानास खाओगे, कम मैंगोस खाओगे. You go to let's say fruit market, and tomorrow, let's say today, you go to a fruit market and you see, okay, bananas are 10 rupees per banana and mangoes are, let's say bigger, 40 rupees per mango. Okay. Tomorrow the mango price of mango remains the same, but the bananas are cheaper. It's like, let's say, 5 rupees per banana. So you will be like, okay, it's a lot cheaper now, let me buy some more. I'll consume more of bananas, given that the nutrition and everything else, the taste and everything is indifferent. It does not change. It remains the same. Okay. So you are going to consume more of bananas as the price of bananas goes down, and it can be of any two unrelated commodities. Okay. So somebody's saying that it's buffering again. Let me just check it out and ensure. I don't think so. The quality I see is excellent here of the video. The connection is excellent. I hope it's clear. Okay, it's perfect right now. Okay, so the substitution effect says that I will start substituting mangoes with bananas. I will start substituting mangoes with bananas as bananas become cheaper. Banana saste hue, more quantity demanded for bananas. That is substitution effect. The second is income effect. As the price of bananas drops, a consumer's purchasing power increases, which further increases demand for bananas. And mangoes might be. तुम्हारे पास रोज होते थे 100 रुपए. What you used to do was one mango 40 rupees and let's say six bananas 60 rupees. Okay, one mango 40 rupees, six bananas 60 rupees. That was your distribution. Let's say suddenly your income increases from 100 to 200. तो इनकम इफेक्ट क्या होगा? यू माइट एंड अप बाइंग 12 बनानास फॉर 120 रुपीज. हो सकता है आप डबल खरीदने लगो. दोनों चीजें डबल कर दी हमने. मैंगो डबल कर दिए, बनानास भी डबल कर दिए. दैट्स व्हाई इट सेज एंड मैंगोस. ओके, सो एज योर this is one part of income effect where your income is increasing. Now, when would your income increase in purchasing poverty terms? In purchasing power terms. Okay, that would happen when the price of banana drops. Let's say 100 rupees, 40 rupees goes in mango, one mango, and 60 rupees goes in banana, six bananas. Okay, now the price of bananas goes down from 10 to 5 rupees. 10 रुपए का था अभी 5 रुपए हो गया. तो आपकी purchasing power बढ़ गई, right? Now you can buy more of bananas. So how you might spend your money is instead of, because now you can buy more bananas. So let's say you start buying 10 bananas. Okay, 10 बनाना आपने खरीदे, 50 रुपए खर्च करे, 50 रुपए खर्च करे, 40 रुपए का आपने एक मैंगो खरीदा. So what you've done is, although you might be less, but you're buying more of bananas now. So your quantity demanded of bananas has suddenly gone up. आपकी quantity demanded of bananas has gone up. Your quantity demanded of mangoes has stayed the same because you don't have enough money. Let's say your income also increases to 130. आपके पास 10 रुपए change था. You're going to buy two mangoes. You might buy two mangoes. 80 rupees, 50 rupees, 130 rupees आपने खर्च कर दिया. You spend 130 by buying 10 bananas and two mangoes. Because the price of bananas has gone down, your purchasing power has gone up. When your purchasing power goes up, you start consuming more. This is what happens when you get richer. Okay, and it's a very interesting thing which is happening right now, because people cannot move out of their homes because of COVID. Lockdown. What is happening is people are consuming what they actually need. People are not able to consume what they want to eat out of curiosity, out of having more incomes. Okay, so people are consuming what they actually need. Income effect would have made sure that they start consuming a lot more, and that's what was happening beforehand. Okay, some people are saying it's buffering again, some people are saying it's not buffering again. See, the internet has also become a lot more shabbier now, but it's okay. Archana is saying it's fine. Pallavi is saying it's fine. Some students are saying it's not fine. Just let me get some feedback from you. Just tell me, give me a thumbs up and tell me whether it's fine or not, and then I'll move on. Okay. So we've understood the income effect and substitution effect, which affects the quantity demanded of a product as the price of a product changes. Okay. So till now we've understood three things. Demand हमने समझ लिया. We've understood the law of demand. We've understood the derivation of law of demand, and then we've understood income effect and substitution effect. Now let's understand the relationship between consumers' demand for good and income of the consumer. Consumer की डिमांड जो होती है गुड की और इनकम जो होती है कंज्यूमर की, उसके बीच में रिलेशनशिप समझते हैं. ओके, इट कैन बी डिटरमाइंड बेस्ड ऑन द टाइप ऑफ गुड्स दैट वी आर कंज्यूमिंग. नॉर्मल गुड एंड इंफीरियर गुड. नॉर्मल गुड के केस में अलग होगी, इंफीरियर गुड के केस में अलग होगी. हाउ इज इट डिफरेंट? लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. A consumer's demand for normal good moves in the same direction as the income of the consumer. Let's say your normal good is let's say wheat. Wheat is a normal good. Okay. So as your income increases, let's say your income was 10,000 per month. Okay. Now your income is, let's say, 20,000 per month. ठीक है, तो आप क्या करोगे? You will start demanding more of wheat. आप ज़्यादा डिमांड करोगे वीट, आप ज़्यादा खाने लगोगे. That's what happens when you have more food on the when you have more money with you. You start consuming more things, even the basic things like wheat. Your consumption of even basic normal goods like wheat also goes up in such times. Okay. And at the same time, there are inferior goods. Inferior goods, for example, let's say you have bread versus, let's say, meat. Okay. So you're comparing bread and wheat, and bread becomes your inferior good. A consumer's demand for an inferior good moves in the opposite direction as the income of the consumer. Coarse cereals हो गया, things like बाजरा. गरीब लोग खाते हैं, अमीर लोग नहीं खाते. Although it's good for health, but it's opposite. Rich people don't want to eat bajra. Similarly, sugar becomes a normal good, because as you become richer, you have more money, you start consuming more of things like sugar. However, jaggery is an inferior good, because not everybody wants to eat jaggery. Especially the poor people are forced to eat jaggery because it's cheaper, much cheaper, not so refined, not so tasty as sugar. Okay. Inferior good moves in the opposite direction. As your income increases, your demand for inferior good starts going down. Okay. As your income increases, your demand for bread will start going down, because now you might start replacing bread with meat. Okay. You might start replacing bread with omelette, with eggs. You might start replacing bread with more nutritious food like fish. Okay. So that's what happens when you start earning more. Your income increases, your consumption for normal goods stays the same or moves in the same direction as your income. However, your consumption for inferior goods moves in the opposite direction. आपका नॉर्मल गुड की जो है वो डायरेक्शन सेम होगी, इंफीरियर गुड की डायरेक्शन ऑपोजिट होगी, ऑपोजिट टू द income of the consumer. So this is the relationship between consumers demand for good and the income of the consumer. Now you might be thinking that whatever I'm teaching right now till now बहुत ज़्यादा अलग अलग हो रहा है, it's segregated a lot, because we're going to combine all these things. Whatever concepts we're understanding, we're going to combine all these concepts and move forward. And that's why I'm focusing on explaining these concepts one by one. So what all have we read till now? What is demand? What is demand function? What is the law of demand? How did you derive the demand curve? Income and substitution effect. I hope you've understood income and substitution effect, because we'll be using this. And the relationship between consumers demand for good and income of the consumer. As your income increases, what is the impact on the demand curve, whether it is normal good or whether it is inferior good? That's what it depends on. Okay. So now we've understood all these things. Now there are certain exceptions to law of demand. Okay. There are certain examples, certain scenarios where law of demand does not work. Law of demand gives up. And there are a total of five. One is Giffen goods, second is Veblen goods, third is expectations of price change, fourth is bandwagon effect, and fifth is emergencies. Let's try and understand all five of them one by one. Because now we've understood income effect, substitution effect, because now we've understood the relationship in case of normal good and relationship in case of an inferior good, we are in a better position to understand all these exceptions. सबसे पहले exception पे आते हैं. The first exception is Giffen good. Mr. Giffen pointed out a rise in the price of bread makes so large a drain on the resources of poor laboring families and raises so much marginal utility of money to them that they're forced to curtail their consumption of meat and the more expensive foods, and bread being still the cheapest food, they consume more and not less of it. This is the best way we could have understood Giffen goods, through the statement given by Mr. Giffen itself. That's why I put it there. So what happens is, let's say you are earning 100 rupees, and इसमें आप मीट खरीद रहे हो, इसमें आप ब्रेड खरीद रहे हो, इसमें आप लेट्स से एग्स खरीद रहे हो, इसमें आप मिल्क खरीद रहे हो. Okay, you're consuming all these things. Now all these three things, let's say, are expensive, and bread is the cheapest that you have among these. Okay. Now bread is also your staple diet, because it gives you the most carbohydrates, which give you enough energy to work uh, the entire day long. Okay. Now let's say the price of bread increases. Pehle, let's say it was 5 rupees per kg. Now it has increased to, let's say, 7 rupees per kg. When the price of a good increases, your demand should decrease. That's what the demand curve says. When the price increases, the price goes up, the demand, quantity demanded, should go down. That's what demand curve says, but it does not happen. Why? Because you need carbohydrates, and all the other things that you're eating and not a staple diet are too expensive. You cannot fill your stomach through all these things. You're eating all these things just for flavor, just to ensure that you're not just eating dry bread. You're adding on these three things, but your stomach can be filled only by eating bread. And therefore, even when the price of bread increases, the quantity demanded of bread does not go down. It either remains the same or goes up. These are called as Giffen goods. So Giffen goods are those goods whose quantity demanded does not go down even when their price increases. When the price increases, the quantity demanded does not go down. Vishal has put it very beautifully. He says increase in price of wheat does not reduce its consumption. Okay. Necessary commodity. Yes, Kushbu is right about that. Suppose you have a very low income and eat two basic foodstuffs, rice and meat. Meat is a luxury and is much more expensive than rice. If rice increases in price, your disposable income is effectively reduced significantly. Now, why does Giffen goods act like this? This is important. ये मिस्टर गिफन ने अपने एनालिसिस में बताया था, which I am summarizing here. So Giffen goods act like Giffen goods because there is a relationship of income effect and substitution effect which is working. Substitution effect and income effect both ensure that certain goods act like Giffen goods. Okay. If rice increases in price, how does income effect work? If rice increases in price, your disposable income reduces significantly. Rice का price बढ़ गया, आपकी disposable income कम हो गई. That is income effect. Therefore, with a reduction in disposable income, you buy less meat. Substitution effect does not work. You don't substitute bread with meat. You don't start uh, eating less of bread and eating more of meat. Substitution does not work. Income effect के चाहिए था, when the in price of rice goes up, then your disposable income should have gone down, and it has gone down. But substitution effect says that when the price of something goes up, you start substituting it with another good, you start eating more of another good, and that's why the quantity demanded of the other good goes up. But that does not happen here. Why? Because you don't have a perfect substitute. To compensate for less meat, you buy more rice to gain enough calories because you have limited income. आपकी income limited है. आप या तो बहुत सारा राइस खाओगे और थोड़ा सा मीट खाओगे, या बस राइस खाओगे. यू कैन नॉट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मीट बिकॉज इट्स अ लग्जरी गुड फॉर यू, इट्स नॉट a necessary good for you. So even when the price of rice goes up, you still have to keep consuming rice because the substitution effect is not working. Okay. So to compensate for less meat, because now you have less income, you keep buying more rice. Okay. इन अ नॉर्मल गुड लेस प्राइस मींस मोर डिमांड. अगर नॉर्मल गुड की बात करें तो अगर कम प्राइस है तो ज्यादा डिमांड करेंगे, लेकिन गिफन गुड की बात करें तो ज्यादा प्राइस है तो भी ज्यादा डिमांड करेंगे. That's how Giffen goods are different than normal goods. Okay, so that's how substitution effect and income effect play a role in determining why certain goods act as Giffen goods. Okay, in a normal good this does not happen, but in a Giffen good the substitution effect does not work, only the income effect is working. Okay, this is how a Giffen goods graph looks like. So till a certain point, as your price of the good increases, you keep demanding more of the good. इस point तक आप ज़्यादा demand करते रहोगे, but after a certain point, of course, because of certain changes, because let's say your income has increased or the price of bread is now so expensive that it's equal to meat, so your consumption of bread will start going down. आपकी consumption जो होगी bread की rice की वो कम होने लगेगी, it will go down. Why? Because at this point, let's say the price of rice is equal to the price of wheat, but below this point rice is acting like a Giffen good. As the price increases, the quantity demanded of rice or bread also keeps increasing. Okay, I hope that's clear. Somebody says it's buffering yet again. Let me make sure that it is not. Okay, I hope it's clear now. I'll explain the curve again, don't worry. I hope you've understood income and substitution effect, why the income effect works and the substitution effect does not work. I'll explain the curve again. Let me just make sure that it's not buffering at all now. Samadip, I'll explain the curve again, don't worry. I hope it's working fine now. Okay, it's working fine, I believe. Okay, so Giffen good ke, let's go back to the curve once more. So the curve looks something like this, wherein there is a direct relationship between the price. So the price is here, the quantity demanded of, let's say, rice is here. So the price is here and the quantity demanded is here. Because it's a Giffen good, point, which means that till this point, as the price of rice increases, see the price of rice is increasing. The price was, let's say, 5 rupees, 6 rupees, 7 rupees, 8 rupees, 9 rupees. So the price of rice is increasing. As the price of rice increases, you are forced to demand more of rice. You are forced to demand, जैसे जैसे price rice का price बढ़ रहा है, you are demanding more of rice. Okay, so now this is acting as a giffen good. At this point, 30 रुपए जब पहुंच गया, when it is 30 rupees, now it starts acting as a normal good. Why? Because let's say at rupees 30, it is equal to the price of meat. मीट भी 30 रुपए का है, राइस भी 30 रुपए का हो गया. So now your substitution effect will start working. Your substitution effect was not working here below the price of 30, but as soon as rice hits 30, as soon as the rice hits 30, your सब्सटीट्यूशन इफेक्ट कम्स इनटू फोर्स, जिससे कि आप राइस से मीट पे मूव कर सकते हो. सो नाउ लेट्स से द प्राइस बिकम्स 31 बनेगा. आप बोलोगे यार 31 रुपए का राइस है, 30 रुपए का मीट है, मैं मीट ही खरीद लेता हूँ, ज्यादा टेस्टी है, ज्यादा एनर्जी मिलेगी, सस्ता भी है. सो योर कंजम्पशन ऑफ राइस विल स्टार्ट डिक्रीजिंग. Your demand for rice will start decreasing above this point and it starts acting as a normal good. ये normal good की तरह काम कर रहा है. So till this point, the good is acting as a given good, but above this point, the good starts acting as a normal good. Okay. So this is how the curve of given good looks like. और इसलिए ये ऐसा लगता है, it's not a straight line wherein a good will always be a given good. There will be a certain point where you can start substituting a good with another good, which is better in terms of our consumption. And at that point, when the substitution effect starts working, then this good starts acting as a normal good. तो substitution effect और income effect अगर आपको यहाँ पे समझ आ गया है, then you can understand कि ये कर्व ऐसा क्यों है. I hope that's clear. Okay. Novelty, yes, don't worry. हिंदी में भी बोलते हैं because a lot of people cannot understand Hindi at all. That's why I try to have the conversation majoritarily in English, and whatever I speak in Hindi, I speak the same in English as well. Okay, so that was the first exception to law of demand, Giffen good. Second exception पे आते हैं, which is Veblen good. Now, what is Veblen good? Precious metals and stones such as gold and diamonds and luxury cars are like Veblen goods. Completely opposite of Giffen good. Giffen good का ग्राफ कैसा था? ऐसा था, है ना. इसका ग्राफ कैसा है? उल्टा है. जस्ट ऑपोजिट ऑफ हाउ गिफन गुड्स लुक लाइक. गिफन गुड्स का ग्राफ वाज लाइक दिस and Veblen goods ka graph is like this. Completely opposite, mirror image. Okay, that's how you can understand this. And Giffen goods were necessary goods. Veblen goods are luxury goods. Let's say the price of you want to buy, let's say an Audi, okay, you want to buy an Audi and it costs, let's say 40 lakh. That's the starting point. And let's say there's a lot of demand in the economy, everything is going well, and Audi decides to increase its price from 40 to, let's say, 45 lakh. Okay, now it becomes more premium, and being a customer who can afford an Audi of 40 lakh, you would not shy away from buying an Audi for 45 lakh. So as the price goes up, the demand of such luxury goods also starts going up, because there are certain other factors involved here. For example, if it is 45 lakh, now you feel that the car is more premium, less people are going to buy it. And if you go out with a car like Audi, more people are going to notice you. That's the normal perception of people while using or buying luxury goods. So you're going to jump after things like these whose prices go up. Okay, certain goods become more valuable as the price increases. If a product is expensive, then its value and utility are perceived to be more, and hence the demand for that product increases. Normal good का इस तरह से होता है. This is our normal good is. This is our normal good is. अगर आप normal good खरीदेंगे, price ज़्यादा होगा, तो price ज़्यादा होगा तो demand कम होगी, right? As the price increases, the demand, quantity demanded reduces. This is how a Veblen good is. As the price increases, the demand also increases. So a luxury good acts like this. जैसे जैसे price बढ़ेगा, demand बढ़ेगी. Okay, that is how a Veblen good looks like. I hope it's clear. Very easy to understand. Vishal is asking, will it apply to sin goods also in Indian scenario? If you can explain to me how is it going to apply in sin goods, I'll be more than happy, because sin goods are completely different category. They're not necessary goods. Of course, if you are an addict, then these sin goods act like a necessary commodity, but not otherwise. And how are they going to act like Veblen goods? Okay, you can explain that to me. Expectations of a price change. Expectations of a price change. That's the third exception to the law of demand. The name itself explains how what exactly is the meaning of expectations of a price change. Let's understand. There are times when the price of product increases and market conditions are such that the product is expected to get even more expensive. आज के टाइम पे जो हो रहा है, what's happening now? Prices of certain goods are increasing in the market, but we expect that they will become even more expensive in the future. चाहे वो कम प्रोडक्शन की वजह से हो, चाहे ज्यादा डिमांड की वजह से हो, वी डोंट केयर. व्हाट वी नो इज सब लोगों ने स्टॉक अप कर लिया. एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड स्टॉकिंग अप फूड, एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड स्टॉकिंग अप ड्राई food stuffs and other things. Why? Because irrespective of increase in prices on of such goods, you have a feeling that these goods might become even more expensive tomorrow. When you start feeling that these goods might become even more expensive tomorrow, you think कि अभी खरीद लेते हैं. Let's purchase it now itself so that we don't have to pay more in the future. Okay, consumers may buy more of these products before the price increases any further. आप सोचते हो इस प्राइस पे ज्यादा खरीद लेते हैं, प्राइस चेंज होगा तो ज्यादा पैसे देने लगेंगे. Consequently, when the price drops or may be expected to drop, consumers might postpone the purchase to a of lower price. उल्टा भी हो सकता है, it might be otherwise. Let's say the price of a commodity starts to fall. You might feel that, okay, let's wait for a while, this might fall further. And it happens a lot in real estate. Let's say the price of a house has fallen from, let's say, 1 crore to 95 lakh. You start feeling, okay, the market seems to be going down, let's wait for another 1 month. It might become 90, it might become 85. Okay, so that is, yes, Vishal is right, that is panic buying. So an expectation of a price change, whether it's positive or negative, determines how much quantity you're going to demand. Okay, and the graphs looks like this because the price is expected to change in the future. At the same price, you start demanding more. Price change नहीं हुआ है, you're feeling that the price might change further, might change, might become more expensive. आपने सोचा कि हो सकता है 1.60 पे चले जाए, 1.60 पे चले जाएगा तो I'll be able to buy only 200 units. Right now I can buy 300 units. Let me stock up and buy 400 units at the same price so that I don't have to spend more money to buy the same amount of this commodity at a higher price. आपने सोचा महंगा होगा, ज्यादा महंगा खरीदना पड़ेगा, रोज कंज्यूम करना है, इससे अच्छा अभी ले लेते हैं सस्ते में. ओके, सो यस, एग्जैक्टली लाइक बुल एंड बेयर, हाउ ट्रेडिंग वर्क्स. ओके, And the fourth one that we have, so now we are done with Giffen goods, we are done with Veblen, we are done with expectations of price change. Now we have bandwagon and emergencies. What is bandwagon effect? Bandwagon, the name itself, this graph, this जो भी diagram है, इससे clear हो रहा है. You want to follow other people. You don't want to be on a path where you are the only one standing. Okay. The consumer tries to purchase those commodities which are brought by his friends, relatives, neighbors, or even try to imitate celebrities. आप ऐसी चीजें खरीदते हो जो आपके आसपास लोगों ने खरीदी हैं या जो आपके आसपास लोग खरीदना चाहते हैं. Things that people around you want to buy, or things that people around you have and you also want to have them, irrespective of their quality, irrespective of their usage. That is called as bandwagon effect. Okay. Here the person tries to emulate the buying behavior and patterns of the group to which he belongs, irrespective of the price of the commodity. Price does not matter. You just want to emulate the buying behavior and patterns of the group. A very good example is how the car market and the housing market works. You want to buy a house, you must have seen your parents, they want to buy a house in an area which is better, wherein their relatives live, or where people, their friends or people that they know live, and those areas which are better. They want to buy a car not just for their satisfaction, not just for your happiness. They want to buy a car because they feel that it will increase their status in the society. जब भी आप कार खरीदने जाते, you would have seen a lot of times that why do you buy a bigger cars? 20 लाख की आपको, let's say you're getting an SUV and you're getting a small car. The small car might actually be better than the big car, but you end up buying big car. Big car, why? Because it has a status symbol attached to it. Okay, which the small car certainly does not carry it a lot of times. Okay, so that is why this is called as bandwagon effect. Things that you want because other people are using it, or things that you want because you're trying to imitate celebrities. Okay, for example, iPhone is one of the best examples. You would have seen people lining up in front of the stores. Why are they lining up in front of the stores? The older iPhone was as good as the bigger, the latest iPhone. I still till 4 5 months back, I was using iPhone SE, which is like this small. Why are people buying bigger and newer phones? Because they want to show off in front of their friends, in front of their family members, in front of the social groups, that they can afford something like that. Okay, that's called as bandwagon effect. That is where the law of demand does not work. And that is the reason that iPhones are so expensive, because they understand that iPhones have become a status symbol. The higher the price, the more people are going to buy it because they feel that other people cannot buy it anymore. Okay. And the last one is emergencies. During emergencies such as war, natural calamity, flood, drought, earthquake, the law of demand becomes ineffective. Very similar to expectations of price change, but this one is more extreme in case of a war, because you don't know what the quantity availability will be in the future. Therefore, you want to buy and stock up goods as much as possible. Okay, people often fear shortage of essentials and hence demand more goods and services even at higher prices. Price ज़्यादा होगा तब भी आप रख लोगे उसको खरीद के. Why? Because you expect that this stuff is not going to be available at higher prices anymore. Okay, now what are substitutes and complements? Substitution effect and income effect is different. Substitutes and complements are different. Okay, always keep them separately. They're completely different. That is an effect, and these are substitutes and complements, which are goods which are acting like substitutes and complements. Substitution effect and substitutes are a lot similar because the names itself are it's similar, but the income effect and complement works in a different way. Okay, so let's and try and understand complementary goods and supplementary goods, which are substitutes, through this one particular name that I have given to this. So if you're consuming two things together, that means you're putting and in between. Let's say sugar and tea, sugar and coffee, milk and tea, milk and coffee. These are compliments because they consume together. आप साथ में consume करोगे. खाली milk भी पी सकते हो, खाली coffee नहीं पी सकते हो. You have to have both these things together. Okay, especially in Indian scenario. तो आप दोनों चीजें साथ में use करोगे. That's why they're called complements. And supplementary goods are goods that have either or before them. या तो आप sugar यूज करोगे with tea, or you will use jaggery with tea. You will use sugar or jaggery, you will use sugar or honey, you will not use both of them together. You will have either tea or coffee, you will not have both of them together. ऐसा कभी नहीं होता है you have tea और उसके बाद एक कप कॉफी भी पी रहे हो. You'll have one of these. Okay, so that's why they're supplementary goods. I hope that's clear. Complementary समझते हैं पहले. Since tea and sugar are used together, an increase in the price of sugar, let's say आप एक कप टी लेते हो रोज, okay, and it has, let's say, rupees 2 of sugar. 2 रुपए की इसमें शुगर डलती है. Okay, the price of sugar increases, let's say it becomes rupees 4, and let's say the price of tea was 10, now it becomes, instead of 12, let's say it increases to 15. Okay, you might start consuming less of tea, likely to decrease the demand for tea, and a decrease in price of sugar is likely to increase the demand for tea. तो शुगर का प्राइस चेंज हुआ, बट उसकी वजह से टी के डिमांड पे इम्पैक्ट आया. प्राइस कितना किसका चेंज हुआ? शुगर का चेंज हुआ, राइट. तो डिमांड किसकी चेंज होनी चाहिए? क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड शुगर की होनी चाहिए. बट बिकॉज दे आर कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री गुड्स, सो द क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड ऑफ टी ऑल्सो गोज डाउन. ठीक है ना. तो जब प्राइस शुगर का चेंज हुआ, as a result, the quantity demanded of sugar will go down. That is obvious, okay, because they have a direct relationship, price and quantity demanded. Now, the quantity demanded of tea should not be affected, but it is affected in the same direction because they are complementary goods. In general, the demand for a good moves in the opposite direction of the price of complementary goods. The demand for a good moves in the opposite direction of price of complementary goods. Okay. Next, we have supplementary goods. Supplementary goods क्या होते हैं? Tea is a substitute for coffee. Tea and coffee are supplementary goods. You will have either tea or coffee. Okay. Now the situation is price of coffee increases. Price of coffee increases. Coffee का price increase हो गया. Consumers can shift to tea. Coffee का price increase हो गया. Coffee becomes very expensive. You are having either tea or coffee. Coffee का price increase हो गया. Coffee has become expensive. You don't want to be spending more, and they are supplementary goods, they are substitutes. You either have tea or you have coffee. The price of coffee has increased. You will start demanding, more of tea. Your quantity demanded of tea will go up. Let's say आप एक दिन कॉफी पीते थे, एक दिन टी पीते थे. One day coffee, one day tea. Now the price of coffee has increased suddenly. आप क्या बोलोगे? रोज टी लेते हैं. Okay, I don't have that much money. Let's have tea every day. Okay, what is happening here? आपका quantity demanded of tea has suddenly gone up. This is how supplementary goods work. If the price of coffee decreases, the consumption of tea likely to go down. Coffee का price कम हो गया. Let's say you have one coffee and one tea. One day one coffee, next day one tea. Price of coffee suddenly falls down. आप बोलोगे टी छोड़ दो यार. Let's have coffee again. Let's have coffee every day. Okay. Suddenly the demand for coffee has increased. So this is how supplementary goods work. The demand for a good usually moves in the direction of the price of its substitute. Okay. I hope it's clear. Sri Ramya, the course on Companies Act is already very detailed. इससे ज़्यादा डिटेल में तो आई थिंक किसी ने नहीं बनाया, ना कोई बना सकता है. If you have any doubts, you can contact me personally, but I don't think there is any scope anywhere in the course on Companies Act. All the chapters that have been specified by SEBI, वो mention कर दिए हैं, and along with that, all the videos are also complete. Okay, let's come back to tea and coffee. Let's come back to supplementary goods and complementary goods. I hope it's clear. Supplementary और complementary समझ आ गया. Now the next is shift in demand curves. अब तक till now we have been talking about movement along the demand curve, which happens because of an increase in price or a fall in price. Price increase हो रहा है, तो क्या होगा? Price, let's say price increases from P1 to P2. What will happen to quantity demanded? QD1 reduces to QD2. This is movement along a demand curve. The other situation is shift in the demand curve itself. The demand curve shifts. Demand curve either shifts to the left or demand curve shifts to the right. Okay. When will this happen? Okay. To conclude, this is where we are going to reach. Contraction or expansion is just remember the keywords here. That is where a question lies, especially for SEBI examination. Contraction and expansion happens when the price of the good changes, whereas shift in the demand curve happens when there is a change in a factor other than the price of the commodity. कमोडिटी के प्राइस को छोड़ के और चीजों में जब चेंज आता है, then we have a shift in the demand curve, either an increase in the demand curve or a decrease in the demand curve. Increase मतलब rightward shift, decrease मतलब leftward shift. Okay, now what are these other factors which have an impact on the demand curve, on the shift of the demand curve? The first one is if income of consumer increases, consumer की income बढ़ गई. Okay, for normal good the demand curve is going to shift rightward. Okay, normal good में consumer की income बढ़ गई, he can have more, he will start consuming more of a normal good. But the consumer will start consuming less of an inferior good if his income increases. मेरी income बढ़ गई, पहले मैं 1 किलो मीट खरीद सकता था, 2 किलो राइस खरीद सकता था, अब मेरी इनकम बढ़ गई. Now I can have 3 kgs of rice and 3 kgs of meat and 1 kg of rice, and that's my आइडियल सिचुएशन, दैट्स वेयर आई वांटेड टू बी. मेरी इनकम इंक्रीज हो गई, मैंने राइस छोड़ के फिश खाना शुरू कर दिया, मैंने वीट छोड़ के फिश खाना शुरू कर दिया, मैंने व्हाइट राइस छोड़ के ब्राउन राइस खाना शुरू कर दिया. ओके, inferior white rice inferior good, brown rice normal good. I did not want to eat white rice, but I had to because I did not have that much money. Now I have more money, I move out from the inferior good, I move to a normal good. Okay, so the demand curve shifts leftward when my income increases for an inferior good, and for a normal good the demand curve shifts rightward. I hope that's clear. Okay, the next one is if the price of related good changes. Abhi to income change hui, number one. Next is price of related good changes. ये हमने अभी समझा है. Substitute good में राइट वर्ड शिफ्ट करेगा, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री गुड में लेफ्ट वर्ड शिफ्ट करेगा. आई होप दैट्स क्लियर, इसमें कुछ समझाने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज यू जस्ट अंडरस्टूड हाउ सब्स्टिट्यूट गुड्स एंड कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री गुड्स वर्क इन रियलिटी. आई होप दैट्स क्लियर. ओके, द थर्ड वन दैट वी हैव चेंज इन टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस ऑफ द कंज्यूमर. तो तीन चीजें हो गई. नंबर वन इनकम ऑफ द कंज्यूमर, नंबर टू price of related goods, number three taste and preference of the consumer. Okay, consumer's preference changes in favor of the good, demand curve shifts rightward. मुझे ज्यादा चीज खानी है, वो my taste and preferences towards that good, I will start consuming more of that good. Okay, unfavorable change in preference of the consumer, I don't want to consume more of that good, my demand curve will shift leftward. For example, as your income increases, majority of you students out here are working or have worked in the past. Let's say you were a student before, okay, and you were preparing for competitive examinations. तो आप क्या करते, रोज दाल रोटी खाते थे, whatever was made at home, or if you're staying outside, whatever was made in the hostel, you would eat that. You did not have a lot of money. Let's say you start working, you're getting a decent salary, you start spending a lot of money on Domino's. Okay, it's unhealthy, because but that's what you enjoy and that's what you can afford, so you start spending a lot of money on Domino's. Okay, so now consumers preference is in favor of the good, so now the demand curve for Domino's will shift rightward. Let's say you're working, your income increases, पहले 30,000 थी, let's say now it is 1 lakh, and now you're like, okay, I can afford better pizza, I can afford better quality goods than just Domino's. It's not even good for my health. There is an unfavorable change in the preference of the consumer. You start consuming less of Domino's, you start consuming more of fish, more of things like sushi, you start eating more of those exotic goods. Okay, so the demand good shifts for Domino's, and now the demand curve for an exotic food starts increasing. Okay, so the change in taste and preference of the consumer can have different effects depending upon whether it is a favorable change or it is a favorable change. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay, so the conclusion is, as I told you, shift in demand curve takes place when there is change in some factor other than price of the commodity. Price की देखो यहाँ पे कहीं भी बात नहीं हुई है. We had three: income, price of the related good, not the price of the commodity, and we had change in taste and preference of the consumer. इन तीन cases में आपका demand curve shift हो जाएगा. Movement, I hope that's clear. Movement happens when there is a change in price of the good. आप राइस की बात कर रहे हो, राइस का प्राइस चेंज होगा, राइस की क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड चेंज होगी, देयर विल बी अ शिफ्ट along the demand curve, not a there'll be a movement along the demand curve, not a shift of the. Okay, so this is how movement can be differentiated from shift. Shift happens when there is a change in a factor other than the price of the good, other than price of the good that we are talking about. जिस good की बात कर रही है उसके price की बात हो रही है. Okay, and movement will happen when there is a change in price of the good that we are talking about. Okay, what is market demand? Market demand is just a horizontal summation of individual demands of different goods. Market demand क्या होती है? Horizontally add on कर देंगे different demands and different prices of different goods, and then we'll arrive at market demand. And one unique thing that I wanted to tell you, because that is why I have put this slide, market demand curve is always flatter than the individual demand curve. Individual demand curve देखो ऐसा है, market demand curve देखो flat है. Why is it flatter? Why is it flatter? It is flatter because, let's say, the demand for this particular good changes, the price increases, the demand goes down. Okay, or whatever happens, the demand changes. The demand for these two remain the same. The demand and price come the demand and price combination stays the same for these two goods. A का change हो गया, B और C का constant है. What will happen to your demand curve? Your demand curve will not change much. Okay, your demand curve will not change much. Why? Because these two have remained the same and this has changed. So the change in market demand curve will not be equal to the change in slope of the first demand curve. Okay, because it's a combination of these three. Okay, let's say 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 1 doubles, 100% change, right? 100% change, plus 2 plus 3, they remain the same. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hua. What is the change? 6 from 7. From 6, it has changed to 7. 1 upon 6 into 100. What is that? That is 16%. 16.6% change when there is a 100% change in the first number from 1 to 2. First number 1 से 2 हो गया 100% change, but the final number changes from 6 to 7, which is a 16.6% change, because the change is comparatively lesser. And why is it less? Because we have B and C, जिनका quantity demanded और price का combination same है. That's why the market demand curve is always flatter than the original demand curves, individual demand curves. Okay, तो हमने क्या क्या, what all have we studied? Let's go back a little bit and revise everything. So we started with demand. What is demand? What is demand function? How does law of demand function? Okay, then we derived the entire demand curve using the budget line and indifference curve. Then we came to how income effect and substitution effect work. Income effect कैसे काम करता है, substitution effect कैसे काम करता है. Both of them have an impact on the negative slope of demand curve. इन दोनों की वजह से ही demand curve negative sloping होता है. And so we understood the impact of substitution and income effect. Okay, for a normal good, what is the relationship between consumers demand and income of the consumer? And for an inferior good, what is the relationship between income of the consumer and demand for the good? And then we talked about exceptions to law of demand. 5 exception: Giffen, Veblen, expectations, bandwagon and emergencies. Giffen good, we understood that the substitution effect is not working, income effect is working, or income effect is stronger than substitution effect. That's why Giffen good acts like Giffen good. If the substitution effect starts to work, then Giffen goods become normal goods. Then we have Veblen goods. Veblen goods are goods, basically luxury goods, जिनको आप consume करना चाहते हो, even if their price increases. Okay, when there's an expectation of a price change, happens all the time in the stock market, in the trading market. When there's an expectation of a price change, either increase or decrease, it has an impact on how much you will consume. Okay, bandwagon effect, you want to follow the crowd, you want to follow the crowd, you want to do what others are doing, you don't want to apply your own mind at times and follow an isolated road. Emergencies, war-like situation, you will consume more of goods irrespective of their price. So the demand curve stops working. Supplementary goods and complementary goods. Supplementary goods, either or, complementary goods, and Okay, tea or coffee, tea and sugar. Tea and sugar, complementary goods, tea or coffee, supplementary goods. Okay, shift in demand curve because of three reasons. Number one, income of the consumer increases or decreases. Price of related good changes, increases or decreases. Taste and preference of the consumer changes, becomes better or in favor of a good or against a particular good. Okay, so these are shifts in demand curve. Movement of demand curve happens because of change in price of the good, and that is how movement and shift are different. Movement because of change in price of the good, shift because of move change in factors other than the price of that good. Okay, market demand, horizontal devolution. Market demand always flatter because it's an accumulation or summation of different demand, individual demand curves. Okay, so I hope it's clear now. I hope you like the session. uh, with this we complete the entire demand and law of demand. uh, in the next session, probably we'll talk about something else related to economics, or we'll talk about something else altogether. Okay, let me take some doubts and then we'll call off the session. My class is always held at 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, not every day, but subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the mailing list through the website. What that will do is you will get a notification in the morning whenever my class is there in the evening. Okay, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel or through my website, you will get that notification. जैसे आपको पता लग जाएगा कि आज मेरी class है, but it always happens at 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay. Rishabh, economics has started getting updated for SEBI. Videos start हो गई हैं अब. The PDFs, majority of PDFs have already been updated. I think 6-7 chapters have already updated. I'm starting with the with the videos now, and I'll start announcing it on Telegram as I complete the videos one by one. Okay. Elasticity of demand, monopoly market, monopolistic, all those are different topics. I'll be covering them in the future. Don't worry about that. एक एक करके सारे कवर करेंगे. Elasticity भी demand कवर करेंगे. Monopoly भी cover करेंगे. All those we will cover. Okay. Don't worry about that. We'll cover them one by one. It'll be there in the description. Somik is asking how to join the Telegram group. The link will be there in the description. Thanks, Gaurav. All the very best. Okay, chalo. Let's call off the session. I hope you like the session. Do take the SEBI test tomorrow, the scholarship test. Whether you want to go for the scholarship, whether you don't want to go for the scholarship, of course, the scholarship will be a combination of your performance in the test plus your financial abilities or disabilities, I can say. So it's going to be a combination of that. I'll start refining the names. I'll start figuring out how to select students. Okay, but do take the test. It's a very small 30-minute test. It'll help you understand what kind of questions might be asked in the examination in both phase 1 and phase 2 of SEBI. 30 मिनट निकाल के test दो. As it is, you guys are not doing a lot of things. You have a lot of time in your hands. 24 घंटे बहुत होते हैं. Even if you sleep for 8 hours, you have 16 hours. Even if you eat for 3 hours, you will have 13 hours. Even if you bathe for 1 hour, you will have 12 hours. Even if you uh, you know spend time on hobbies for the other 2 hours, you have 10 hours. So you have a lot of time in your hand. Start using that time and take out 30 minutes tomorrow to take that test. Okay, all the very best, guys. Take care. Have a nice day. God bless.